Hopefully that doesn't pick up the washing machine. If it does, oh well. I can't help it sometimes. But yeah, so we're here for episode 55 because we've got a couple guests coming on that are going to need their episodes out soon, as in Andrew Smart, who will have been on by the time that you'll see this. He's fighting, as of recording it, is Friday the 19th or the 20th, something like that. And he's coming on tomorrow, but he fights the 28th. Also, it'll be the 20th because 21st tomorrow, 7 days, 20. Yeah, we worked it out. And then we've got Mayhem Brooks coming on, professional wrestler. We've got to sort something out with Ginge as well because we had to reschedule because the door snapped, and then we had to reschedule again because Ginge forgot. So
Ginge.
We will get that
Ginge
sorted.
In years.
Yeah, I was having it seems like he's going to be like a right laugh when he comes on because I was watching one of his fights in preparation for like the episode and whatnot, and they had like a post-fight interview after it. He's fighting in Aberdeen, right? But I think he's fighting like a guy that's from Aberdeen or close to the area because like he brings quite a massive support.
Oh yeah,
as well. Don't get me wrong, like Ginge and Aiden and all those guys get like a great support, just local and the people that train with him at the gym and stuff like that, right? But it's funny, the post-fight interview, he was like, I'm fighting in Aberdeen, which is close to my home, and I'm getting booed, and you just hear this guy in the background go, boo, and he like goes, yeah, yes, boo, you know what I mean? Like, but
he's got a good sense of humor, I'll give him that.
Looking forward to
He's always been like that. I met him like first time I ever met him, like it was like 2008 or some shit, like a long time ago. And he was always been like that, always been like that. So yeah, it's been a while since I've seen him though. I was speaking to him on Twitter not long ago.
Anyway, we're here to talk about spirits, ghosts, paranormal stuff today. We were meant to do this last time, and then we kind of just segued into other things. So I suppose when I was thinking about what we would start off on with this, and I don't like go too deep into it a lot of the time, I thought I would ask the question, do we believe in ghosts to begin with? But I think that question kind of answers itself to the fact that we're covering this topic in the first place.
Yeah, well, it's one of them subjects that I think everybody wants to know for real. I mean, like, so you get people that have said they've seen things, and then you get people that are like, "Oh, don't be stupid. There's no such thing."
Yeah, it's very similar to the alien type stuff, isn't it? In terms 100%. Of
there's definitely some shit going on, man. Like, because it's like my mum's seen some shit. Like in my granny's house, there was a ghost in there, and it was like an old guy that my mum knew from her childhood, and I think he lived on the same street. And she saw him a few times in her bedroom. He would just stand at the end of the bed and laugh at her. Just laugh at her.
Yeah. So is this like someone that was perhaps like almost a bad figure, or was it someone that was meant to be a friend?
No, I don't know. I don't know who the guy was. My mom obviously does. But he would stand at the end of the bed and laugh at her or something, she said, and she was always creepy.
Yeah.
And my dad didn't believe her. And I think it was like not long after they were going out, right? And my dad's like sleeping, and he wakes up and there's this dude at the end of the fucking bed. Like, Jesus. My dad's like, what the fuck? He believed her. And then we're in the house that we live in now. And my mum and dad were asleep. They used to be in the room I'm in, and the door was open just a little bit. My dad woke up in the middle of the night, or it was my mum, I can't remember. And at the top of the stairs, there was this woman, like in the 1800s, with the what do you call them, pennies or whatever.
I know what you're
on. She was wearing this old fucking, and she was just standing there. And then I think he tried to wake my mum up, and then she was gone. But I think she's been seen more than once. And there's been a lot of weird fucking noises in my house that go on quite a lot.
Have you ever like looked into the history of like when your house was made, or what was maybe there before it and stuff like that?
Well, there's meant to be a cemetery, an old cemetery around Sin City.
And it's a palace as well, isn't it? Like
sort
it used to be like a castle kind of thing,
Yeah, and I know it's a guy, I can't remember who it was, that was telling us a story. He lived in Sin City, and there was a ghost that used to be like being like stand next to his wardrobe all the time. He would just be there all the time. Like every night, I think,
It's
almost.
fair to say that Sin City's still haunted, ghosts or no ghosts.
I mean, like, I've never, like, listen, I've never seen anything.
Mhm.
Never seen anything, but not my house. I've never ever seen anything. I've always kind of been skeptical.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, a lot of people say, oh, if you don't want to see them, you won't see them.
Yeah, it feels like you have
You
to
ever
be
heard that?
open-minded to
Yeah.
it to like actually kind of, I
Yeah.
suppose that's true in a sense. Like I was always like a massive skeptic of this kind of thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, because you hear people talk about it and you like, it's kind of the same to the alien thing to an extent. There's people that will just bullshit and be like,
Aye.
you know, I've seen my entire family.
Make
They were
up
right.
shit.
I was making them a cup of tea last night. You know what I mean? Like, and like, oh, you're just either mental or just lying through your teeth. And then Lossie, it could be either or. You know what I mean?
Aye.
But I think when I first started to kind of like open my mind up more to it, like the only time that I thought I might have seen something right is I was at a house in Bucky, right? And the people that the house we were at and that were like, oh, someone's just came in through the door and you'll see who it is. So basically they had the kitchen lights on and the rest of the lights in the house were off.
Right.
So I went through to go like see who it was, right? And I seen someone nipping up the stairs. I was like, oh, they must be going to the toilet or something, right? And then like an hour happened, like no one came back down and stuff like that. And I was like, I swear I seen someone like go up the stairs and whatnot. And like they went up, and it was dark, right? So I guess your mind can play tricks on you and that.
Yeah.
But like, it was the most convinced I've ever been of seeing someone that wasn't there. And then like they were right into like the whole spirits thing and that. So the first thing that they thought when I said like, oh well, that's funny because they were there. It's like, oh well, no, it's a spirit of this person. You know what I mean? And I was like, oh, you know what I mean. But I suppose when I kind of came round to it again when I was older was I'll leave names out of it because I don't like naming people that like I haven't asked in advance. But
yeah,
someone that I worked with is quite into like spiritual stuff and that. And for like my last day at the fixed term contract that I was on, they were like, I'll give you a tarot card reading. You ever heard of them? It's like the whole kind of medium-ish type stuff. It's not the whole I can speak to people that from your past life and all that kind of stuff. But I was like, you know, why not? You know, it was just like not working. Well, I was working, but not working that day. You know, like it was kind of like the last day of school. You didn't have to do any schoolwork.
Yeah, you didn't do fuck all. Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, why not? You know what I mean? Like, it'll be a laugh at least anyway. And the card, like, so basically, I'll explain the cards. Right, you pick the cards, right? So you pick as many as you want, right? You pick a number in your head. You pick from wherever in the deck that you want.
Right.
And like if a card falls out, you've got to keep that one because it was meant by fate or whatever that card, you know what I mean? Like, and I was kind of roll my eyes at all this type of stuff, thinking like, yeah, sure. But when you have to, so the first card you pick's the first one you put down, so on, to the last one's the last one. So I think I picked like 5, 6, something like that. And I was really, really like freaked out at how accurate it was. Because you think to yourself, this is all like luck and chance and stuff like that, picking from like a deck of 52 cards. So it was talking about, so I was leaving that fixed term contract to go pursue this kind of year I'm having of, you know, continuing doing this, the documentaries and stuff like that. And like it was freedom, career change, it was like all that. And I suppose it was quite convenient, it was all positive, but it just freaked me out how it was like, you know, career change. That's literally what's happening today.
Yeah.
So that freaked me out a bit. But then she was like, "I've got a crystal, okay?" And I was like, "Right." And she was like, "You can ask it questions. I'll give you the answer to it, but it only gives you yes or no answers." And I was like, "Right, okay. How does that work then?" So she took the crystal out and she was like, "You've got to like hold it for a bit and put your energy into it because like." A lot of people that believe in like spiritual stuff seem to have the kind of idea that it's all energies.
Right.
So like crystals can contain souls from other people. You know, souls, right? That's what ghosts are, or what people think they are anyways, like the soul. So I suppose it is energy from someone if they are real. So she holds this thing for about like 2 minutes or something like that, right? And she like holds it at the top. There's like a so it's on a chain, but at the top there's like one of those metal like ball things that's part of a chain. Like she holds it there, So I'm watching her hand constantly because so she was like, "This is what a yes answer looks like," and it starts spinning in her hand like in a clockwise or anti-clockwise, whatever way I'm doing there. And I'm looking to see if there's any like manipulation of like her like spinning it. And then she's like, "This is what a no answer looks like," and then it starts kind of going back and forth like that. So you don't have to like verbalize the question; like you can think it, and
Right.
like the thought process is its energy will receive the energy that you're projecting from your mind. Um, so I asked it a couple of questions, right, and it got everything right. So I was like, right, okay, maybe this is just complete coincidence. She was like, "Do you want to hold it?" And I was like, okay, because I was like thinking, like, if it's a fraud, then it's not going to work for me because I've never held one of these things before and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I hold it. She was like, hold it where I've been holding it, and I hold it still. And then I'm asking the questions again, and it's doing the same shit. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on right now? Do you know what I mean? And that proper
Freaked you out a
just
bit.
because I had no explanation for it. I was looking for like a mechanism where it's maybe, you know what I mean? And it was crazy that I didn't even have to say so and so and so, and it would give me an answer. So it
Yeah.
was obviously receiving something.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was when I was kind of like, okay, maybe not to go as far as saying like ghosts are real, but I was like more into the whole spiritual side of
Yeah.
life, I guess you would call it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I I had an operation when I was 11, right? And it was pretty fucking heavy operation. I've got scoliosis.
Mm-hmm.
So it was straightening my spine, and it was like it was a big fucking deal. Like I had a, you know, scar from the top of my back to the bottom. I was cut from the side to
Mm-hmm.
the back, right? And it was and so obviously, that's tough for anybody to go through, right? So anyway, I made it out. I'm alive, right? My auntie gets My auntie lived in Spain at the time, and she ran a bar. And there was this lady, I think, that hung out in the bar, and she used to do that
Tarot cards,
tarot
yeah.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure. Anyway, she could. I don't know if it was that or if she could read palms or what the fuck it was. I don't know. Anyway, my auntie's sitting there with her, and she said, "You got a nephew?" And she was like, "Got more than one, but the one that's not that hasn't been well." The one that I think was something about an operation. She knew that I had something wrong with my back. She knew everything,
And
right?
this is someone that has no connection
She
to your
doesn't know
family
me.
whatsoever, yeah.
This was Facebook, before Facebook and all
Yeah.
that shit.
Mm-hmm.
So she couldn't have searched this up, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I think people might have been around. But anyway,
Yeah.
so my auntie's like, okay. And she was like, he isn't going to be well again, but he's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I got pneumonia, like 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So
Was that
this
quite
was
close after the operation had happened?
no, that operation was in like 2005.
All right, okay, so this
4 or
is
5.
years after, yeah.
So this was years after, right? But I guess anybody could get not well, but it was touch and go, eh?
Yeah.
Like if I didn't go to the
pneumonia's
hospital, I
like
was
serious,
fucking,
like,
I was dead.
you know, with flu, COVID, all this kind of respiratory disease, it's usually not the actual disease that kills them. It's usually because their immune system's fighting that hard against that, the pneumonia bacteria gets in, and
Yeah.
and pneumonia is like flooding of the lungs, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. So it's one of the most horrible things I've ever fucking had in my life, and you're trying to cough shit up, and it's not.
It's just sticking.
It's horrible. It's horrible. Anyway, it was like literally, if I didn't go to the hospital that day, I was dead. Like I could barely even open my eyes. It took me about a half an hour to get a pair of jogging bottoms on. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't function. I was just wanting to sleep and drift off, to be honest with you. Anyway, so she got like, and then there was loads of other shit about our family that nobody fucking knew. And she was coming out with all this shit. Like, honestly, what the fuck? Like, she was freaked out a little bit and that. Anyway, she was telling us all about it, and so like that was one experience I remember about someone like that. I'd never met anyone like that, but she got everything right.
Yeah, and like
And you can't explain it because she didn't know us.
Yeah, exactly. Because like I think some people when they say that they like say their friend or someone they know offers them to like do a medium service and that, they kind of think to themselves, well, of course you're gonna know shit like that because you have a kind of an insight into my life. But when it is like a total stranger and they hit the nail on the head with pretty much everything they say, that's when it's like Because you can't just say, oh, there must be an explanation for that, because it's just too out there for it to be like, oh, there's a logical, maybe, like you're saying nowadays with like Facebook and that, I suppose if someone's at a complete absolute whack job, they could look your entire family up and try and stalk you in a way to find out information of you.
But like, it's the way that it happens on chance. Like, it's a spontaneous thing. Like, you meet someone, you had no idea you were going to meet that day. Like, so how the fuck can they research you? They didn't even know you existed till that minute that you just met them. So there's no, like, because what think, you meant to say that?
I think there's definitely legit ones of them, but I definitely think there's also fraud mediums as well. Like, I don't know if did you ever see the kind of breakdown of, do you remember John Edward? Or did you ever hear of John Edward, the American guy that would have these audiences and he would say a name and someone in the crowd would be like, oh, like my uncle's hairdresser's dog's name was that. And he would go over there and it was like, yes, that's who I'm thinking of. Of course it was your, you know.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean.
And there was like that whole breakdown of like, he's saying a word to a room full of 100 people. Of course he's going to find someone that relates to it.
Yeah, try that in a fucking room with 3 people.
Yeah, it's like, the name's beginning with R, and then someone will say Xander. It's like, yes, that's it. You know what I mean? Like,
I know what you mean, but I remember Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Remember Polly Gray when it was like early on in the series, like maybe first series or something, and she was there to find out if her daughter or if her son were alive. And I remember they were saying that it was like an old tale to let like wives and stuff feel at peace. With their husbands that they lost in the war. And I think a lot of that started through big things like that. So, like, you know, it was like a little white lie, almost.
Something to comfort them.
Exactly. Like, because it's a tough thing in it.
Yeah, exactly, to lose someone.
So, yeah, like, that was kind of, like, I think that's something to do with it. But I think it goes further on than that. I think it goes a lot further back than that. But, yeah, I know.
It's crazy how it's, like, carried on, though, right? Like, this isn't just like a new thing. Like with the aliens type stuff, we've kind of learned more about that in the last 100 years. Like it's not something probably people were, I'm sure someone maybe seen one way back in the 1600s, but it's not something that was such a well-believed thing back then. It would be more like, oh, I seen a dragon rather than like actually seen a UFO type.
Yeah, like I saw the gods.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like say like fucking Vikings are fighting, or you're at the Battle of Culloden, there's a fucking UFO.
Yeah, it's like, that must be Thor, right?
Like, what the fuck is like, like that's a god.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I think that, I know we're getting off a little bit off topic here, but
it's the same thing, though.
I kind of think, like the Egyptians thought that they were the gods, right? I'm sorry, but you can't build the fucking pyramids.
No.
They tried to, did you see that they
Japan tried to do that with modern day technology and it couldn't be done.
It's not possible.
So how the hell could humans do it
you
like
can't do
400 years beforehand?
Not happening.
Yeah, so that, like you said, that is like, these are all unsolved mysteries, and I do love myself an unsolved mystery.
I'm the same, man.
Whether it be that or an unsolved murder, you know, all this kind of stuff. But with the whole kind of spirit kind of stuff, this is something that filters back all the way through to back then, because even the gods were, I guess, in like a spirit form, right? Because it's like Vikings that you mentioned, like there was Valhalla in it, that was like their heaven.
That's it,
and it was to do with like battle and honor and all that kind of stuff. But it's crazy that it's one thing that's just survived throughout humanity, that ghost spirituality energy type theory, because like, if you will,
in that series Vikings, I always find it really amazing the way that they've done it. Like both of the Viking series were fucking brilliant. But like, you know, like when they were almost close to death, they see Odin.
Yeah.
And they're going towards
Raven and that,
and they're going towards the halls of Valhalla, and they get to the big golden gates and stuff. You know, it's, you know, you really that's the one thing that I always wondered, like life after death sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, are you gonna come back, or do you start another life, or is there a place where you go after it, or?
Because we have absolutely no idea what it is. Like, there's no science behind it. No one's been able to, like, just because no one's been able to see any evidence of it.
There's people that have said, though, that they have died and came back.
Yeah.
And there's a story that I watched on YouTube, and it was a guy who was telling us he was dead for, I don't know how long. But it was fucking amazing. It was the way he told it, how emotional he got. It's like, this is fucking real. Like,
yeah.
this guy's a fucking Oscar winner if he's fucking faking
or mentally ill. You know, like it can't just be like, oh, look at what I'm making.
And he is a proper fucking normal, hardworking guy that has obviously had a fucking crazy experience back then. And this was like 40 years beforehand, and he's in tears telling the story. He doesn't tell it very often. I'll send you it. It's fucking amazing. I watched it with my brother. Couldn't believe I'd never seen it before.
Have you ever seen like the videos? Like, I know this is kind of going a bit off topic again, but I suppose this is kind of covering a whole area of stuff that we believe is possible, not possible. Have you ever seen like the time traveling videos, like in 1910, where someone's clearly on a cell phone and stuff like that, and there's guys that have like came back and claimed that they're from the future and stuff like that. But
there's too many of them though.
Yeah, true. I think that's like a market people get on board with and be like, I'll just say that it's a nuclear disaster in the future because we can foresee that kind of shit like happening.
They take a bloody picture of the new cyberpunk fucking game, and they're like, this is the picture I took
from
like the other side of the city. Look at the city, look what it looks like. LA is no longer, it's underwater.
Why is Keanu Reeves still there?
Joe Rogan's still around.
Yeah,
he's living in the woods.
But I'd being a huntsman, but I kind of do. But like, I think with how fast technology is advancing, I can't see why that wouldn't. If we're going to have stuff like we were talking about Elon Musk last time and the Neuralink stuff, if that looks like it's coming pretty quick, right? Obviously, there's still there's barriers to go in because he's still like testing it on pigs and stuff like that just now. Well, the last time I looked it up,
lucky pigs.
But that is going with the amount of money that dude's got behind him. He's going to find a way to get that to work, isn't he? Like he usually does.
Of course. I mean, he's smart as fuck. He approaches these ideas with like so much fucking confidence. You know, like he doesn't see failure. Like he obviously, I think failure is important. Fail and then you try again, try again. And look at Tesla. Tesla near folded in 2006 or whatever. It was near gone. It was never going to be a thing. It was bankrupt, and now it's better than ever.
Yeah, one of the
and the US government fucking hate him for it because he is. I mean, he paid. Do you know how much money he paid in tax?
Probably quite a lot. Or
it was like fucking a stupid number. It's like 60 odd billion or some shit, some crazy number. Anyway, but like, where were we again?
We're talking about Elon Musk and the Neuralink stuff.
Yeah, so time travel
and
stuff.
How it links to time. What's possible going forward.
Yeah, like I watched the video and there was a guy talking about the story. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I was fascinated by it and I thought it was cool. I just liked the sound of it because I've always been mad about technology.
Yeah.
I mean, I've spoke about it for years. Ask my brother, he'll tell you I've been mad about it. I just think, you know, if I had one wish, now a lot of people's like, oh, I'd wish for my family back, or I'd wish for, you know, the lottery win or anything. I'd wish for a time machine because you could, all of that things you want is possible, but right? That's the secret to the universe. Time machine. You can do anything with that. Remember, think about the possibilities you could do.
You could go back to the 1950s and see like a Rat Pack show.
You could do whatever you want to do, like anything, right? You could go see your mother as a kid.
Yeah.
Right? That would be amazing, wouldn't it?
Have you ever, like, that's the kind of, I do think to myself, because I was born in the 90s, right? But I was like born midway through the 90s. So I was only kind of reaching consciousness as a human being when we hit the millennium. And the 90s always looks like such a great place that I would love to experience a day of it the age I am now.
Yeah, going to a fucking Oasis gig.
Pints being like road. £1.40 and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, fucking amazing. But yeah, like, so this guy anyway, he was like, oh yeah, time travel was invented in 1981. But they'll tell you it wasn't invented until 2028.
Okay.
But 2028 is when it will be released to the public.
Okay.
Like, not as if we'll give you a time machine, but as if
the knowledge of it being in existence.
And we are doing things with it.
Because they have kind of done that with the aliens thing recently in 2020, where they kind of snuck it in when the whole COVID stuff was going ahead. Like, yeah, there is unidentified aircraft out there. But anyway, moving on. So today's COVID stat, you know what I mean?
It was crazy the way they done that, right? I mean, fucking hell, I couldn't believe it. But I was buzzing at the release. Quite cool videos. But yeah, the boy was saying that yeah, 2028 and all that, and what else was it? Something about that he went to 2118, right? So
very specific here.
Yeah, 2118, and I think maybe the story got released in 2018. I can't remember. Anyway, 2118, and he woke up in a hospital bed after. I don't want to like go and tell the whole story because it'll take up way too much time.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, he wakes up in a hospital bed, and the nurse comes in and sees him, and he's looking down at the bottom, and there's like fucking floating tables and shit, and there's this massive fucking white thing on the wall, and it, anyway, the nurse was like, "You look confused, put the TV on," and she was like, "What? How? She was like, "What's your name?" Told her his name, and then she was like, "Do you know what happened to you?" And he was like, "No." She's like, "We found you on the side of the road," and she was like in funny clothes, and she was wearing this clothes from the 80s, right? And then she was like, she was asking all these questions like you would normally ask someone with a concussion. She was like, what year were you born?" And he was like, I don't know what year he was born, like maybe 19, I don't know, 51, I'd say.
Yeah.
Right. And then she was like, he's obviously nuts, right? And then he's like, and then she was like, what year is it? And she goes, what's the date? She said. And he was like, something, 1981. And she was like, sir, it's 2118. And then he looked at her as though she was nuts.
Yeah.
She walked out the room. She was like, watch some TV and chill out, right? While she went and got a doctor because she thought this guy was fucking away with it. And he puts it on this TV and this whole fucking wall lights up.
Yeah, the
like
walls are screen.
But it was like, yeah, kind of, but it was like off the wall a little bit and floating. And it was like on the news, it was like, yeah, 2118, he saw this weird buildings and he looked outside and the buildings are all fucking weird. He went downstairs and ended up asking like, how do I get out of here and stuff. They were like, what do you mean? He's like, how do I get to LA sort of thing? And she was like, what do you mean LA? And he was like, well, where am I? She was like, oh, District 508.
So it's like all kind of like
it's all district and areas, right? So
the new world dystopia.
Yeah, so anyway, that's what he said, but there's far more to it that I could say, that I'll tell you, but I'll send you the video.
Yeah.
And you can make it what you want, but it's interesting, but it could be a complete bullshit.
Yeah.
But I like the story, and it was like, that's a good fucking movie.
Yeah.
That's a great film. I'd watch it.
But I think that's the thing. Like, if we were to be put 20 years in the future just now, like we woke up tomorrow, I think it would be like a bit too much for us to handle because over the time of going forward, you get used to things that come in because they're gradually introduced, right? So like there'll be something 1 year, 5 years down the line. But if like the whole world changes in 20 years' time, right? This place is totally different to what the year 2000 looked like in terms of what's capable, even what the environment looks like and what, we couldn't do this back in the year 2000. These things weren't available to just anyone. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Like you'd show someone like this in 2001.
Yeah.
And they're like, what?
And they're like, where's the Snake app?
What does that do? Like,
why can't I play Snake?
Why is there no buttons?
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck do you work this thing? But like, from like 1950 to like 1960, right? It's a decade. Not much changed, right? In terms of technology. TV, color TV was probably, that's it, right?
Yeah.
I think, was there the color TV? Yeah, there was. By right?
So it was a very kind of
it wasn't great, was it?
Expensive thing to get a hold of.
Yeah, and they were massive.
Yes.
You needed.
Do you notice that though? Like it was especially with phones. Phones when they first came out were absolutely bricks, and then they made them small as they can, and then everyone got bored of that, so they're making them bigger again.
Yeah. Did you see that funny one? It was like an iPhone. It was like a door.
Yeah.
The Apple Watch on the back. Yeah. But like if you look at like from 1950 to 60, right? Look, even a further range, from even 1940 to 1960, there's not that much change technology-wise, right? But if you go from like, say, I don't know, 10 years from now, things are going to look different.
Yeah. We're going to be the first generation towards probably the end of our life cycle that's going to be living alongside AI.
A completely different world that anybody that is born today knows. I mean, I look at my little cousin, right? He's like fucking, I don't know. He's like, he's not even 10 yet, right? And he's sitting there fucking messing around with phones and he's able to do all this shit. And I'm like, when I was your age, I I was throwing itchy bombs at fucking cars and doing stupid shit. Like, you're fucking about on a fucking iPhone. Like, it's nuts.
And it's kind of like, it's almost that integration of humanity and technology, right? Like, we're becoming connected to it in a way, in the sense of,
it's part of you now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is, because your life...
You're cyborg.
I know there's like people that will be like, well, I don't need a phone and all this stuff. But you can't really function without a phone now. Or an access to an internet connection at the very least. Especially all the things that like it offers now. Like, a lot of people get their shopping delivered. A lot of people need it to use Google Maps. Just day-to-day things. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, that's getting lazy. And I suppose maybe they're right in that assessment to an extent. But it also makes things easier, right? Like, for example, with Google Maps, like if you had to get directions before that, you'd have to stop and ask like 5 people, because some people wouldn't know what it was. Some people tell you fuck off, blah, 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 blah. Whereas you get that sorted within...
Everything is in your pocket.
Yeah.
Everything is in your pocket. And the thing is, though, like, government is like tracking everything.
Yeah.
Right? On that phone. But it's so easy to use it. I mean, you don't take your bank card with it. Oh, it's cool, I got my phone.
Yeah,
because it's linked to your fucking bank card.
Apple Pay and shit like that. Yeah,
like fucking nuts. Like, you go to McDonald's and it's just like, oh yeah, thanks.
Boom. And it's everywhere now. Like, I remember going on the bus to work last year, and I hadn't been on the bus for fucking years, right? But because I usually took the train in Inverness and that, but they decided to pay my bus ticket, so I was like, I'd rather go for free on a longer journey than pay for a shorter one. And then I ended up changing my mind eventually. But I was going on there, and they were like, you can pay contactless on the bus. Do you know what I mean? I was like, I remember like being a kid, like struggling to get change together for a fucking single. Do you know what I mean? Where it really is everywhere now. There's not a place that you go where there's very few places like that. I think there's one on Elgin High Street that's still cash only and stuff like that, but it's a very unique...
Yeah, I mean, like, the crazy thing about technology is that the more innovation happens, the faster it happens. So, like, as I said before, from like the 40s to the 60s, there wasn't much change. But as I said before, 10 years now could be like 40 years then, right? So it's completely changed. Like, the more that we innovate, just the faster it gets. It's just gonna keep going. Like, there's new phones every year. There's like, you can't keep up with it. There's so much more. I mean, yeah, okay, you might not see the difference between that iPhone to the new one.
Yeah, but
it is better. You just maybe not notice it.
But it's not that in your face at that point. Yeah. Whereas if you went from an iPhone 2 to an iPhone 12 or whatever it is they're on now, you'd be like, what the how you know?
Yeah, exactly. And but eventually that's going to be like, say, the iPhone in 2021 to 2022. The 2021 phone's going to be like a fucking, like, it's going to be like a Stone Age phone compared to 2022.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, I'm not saying like in 2022, but like, it kind of, eventually it's going to be so different because innovation's so fast. They were, Apple are just going to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
Same as all these different companies. There's probably going to be a company that's going to take like all the big guys out eventually, because someone's just going to perfect something, and you're not going to like something like Neuralink. Like, if Neuralink, say for example, they get to the point where it's they're putting a chip in your head, and you can access everything from that chip in your fucking head.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna need a phone no more, are you?
No.
So Apple's down the tubes, and so is Samsung and all these other Android places. Do you know what I mean? So eventually, there's going to be someone that's going to take them all out. I think eventually.
And then that's kind of where we get into uncharted territory, in the sense of, you were mentioning the government kind of looking into, or the states looking into. I suppose it is rife in the Western world, but it's not to like the state in where like. Yet anyway, where like China has the social credit system. So like, you speak shit about their government, you go down the social credit ladder, you buy too much wine, you speed but 2 miles over the speed limit or something, you go around. So that's wild, and like, that scares me that that's an operation, because if that ever spreads around the world, right? Because there's a famous saying of, you can kill a person but you can never kill an idea, right? Like, if you think of all the ideologies, good or bad, that have lasted till now. Yeah. They just don't go away, because you can't, like, people are always going to have that kind of want to believe that system. I do like get freaked out by it, just because like it would be the end of privacy as we know it, right? Not just to the extent of a lot of people when it's like, oh, why are they looking at my phone and that, like get all uptight and be like at the moment, the main thing that the government are trying to extract from you is your data, because they want to know what you want to buy so they can put it in front of your face, and
That's
that
exactly
makes companies money, you know?
I mean, do you know, like, and a prime example of that is, like, I remember talking to my mum about a certain jacket that she was wanting for her birthday.
And then it popped up on
and
the
it
phone.
popped up on my fucking phone. Like, I was talking to my brother about, I might buy an Apple laptop. I was thinking about it.
Yeah.
Before I bought the PC. Boom. All these Apple laptops start popping up, Cuddies, all these other places. Yep. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I literally just said that 2 minutes ago. And I went and refreshed Facebook, and there it is. Like, what the fuck? Like, that's not a coincidence. It's more than once.
Facebook's the worst for it, man. Like, I've got all the settings like turned off to like opt out and all this kind of stuff, because like I don't want to be manipulated. I don't want to have like, if I want to buy something, I'm not going to be like, because it is influencing your purchase decisions at that point. I want to make it because I want to make that decision. And I know it's kind of unavoidable to an extent, but I've got Norton Security Ultra that on the laptop that I use to edit the podcast, because obviously you don't want people hacking and getting all the kind of footage and that we have. But it shows me what's tracking where I'm going on the net, and Facebook's at the top of the fucking list, and that's with the settings on opt out. Do you know what I mean? So
I'm not surprised by
they're
that.
still up to their old shenanigans, even though they've had this Congress hearings with Zuckerberg and all that.
Did you see that weird photo of Zuckerberg? With all the other fucking... What the fuck?
He's a very peculiar person, isn't he? He's
like, there's nothing against the guy. Like, he's done well for himself and shit. Like, fuck now. But Jesus fuck, like, that people didn't look right. They didn't look normal.
And it's the same with like
they're from fucking somewhere else. They're from here. They're not from Houtman. You know what I mean?
I'd be worried if they were from Houtman, to be honest. But like, even seeing people
nothing
like
against Houtman, by the way.
Yeah, no, you're our neighbor, so we appreciate you. But like, even seeing like billionaires, like I don't want to say his name because people go absolutely tonal when you say his name, but Bill Gates, right?
Yeah.
But like, when you see him stand next to world leaders, I kind of go, he's not been an elected official in any way to get to that type of powerful position. Like, he's got there because he's got money. Obviously, he's got money from his own like ideas and thoughts and building up Microsoft and whatever, so fair play. But it is worrying that people can buy their way in how the world's going to be influenced down the line.
It's
Do you know
crazy.
what I mean? But I suppose at the same time, the world of leaders get fucking corrupt elections and shit like that as well. So maybe it's just all the same kettle of fish at the end of the day. But
yeah, that's it. I mean, there's so much power in the world now, and it's, you know, it's literally it's all about how big your wallet is. If you've got no money, you've got no chance.
Yeah,
like, they don't want to know you. Nobody wants to know you. And it's either money or followers. You know,
because like him and I think we spoke about this last time as well, but we're going to a bit more deep this time. Like, Gates and Musk have like this really big rivalry going on. Like, they don't speak well of each other, and it must just because they're two of the richest guys on the planet, right? So they're their competitors.
Yeah, exactly.
But like Bill Gates was saying, like, if you have less money than Elon, you should probably be worried. And it's like, well, you could say the same thing for you. Like, I don't know, do you ever watch Russell Brand's stuff on YouTube? You ever watched any of his videos?
Sometimes. I like Russell Brand.
Yeah,
I always liked him.
I think he's a really open-minded dude, and that. And a lot of people remember him for his days of being an out there comedian and being on all sorts of substances and that. But
here, listen, people make mistakes, and he's a human being. But I'll tell you one thing, that guy is smart as fuck.
Yeah, he is.
He is very smart, and I've always been a fan. I always thought he was funny. He was good in Get Him to the Greek and
with Jonah Hill,
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. He's fucking brilliant.
Do you remember? This is quite a long time ago, but I remember I go back and watch it sometimes. I mean, it's not funny, but it's just that Russell Brand's like that kind of Tim Burton character where even serious stuff's funny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you remember the radio interview with him and Jonathan Ross where they kept phoning up the guy from Fawlty Towers?
No.
Did you not see that? I'll have to send you that later as well. But anyway, they kept he was meant to be going on. Russell Brand had a radio show on the BBC at the time,
right?
And Jonathan Ross, who worked for Jonathan Ross lost his job at the BBC over this and stuff like that, as did Russell Brand. But like Jonathan Ross had the talk show.
I heard about it, but I never actually heard the.
But the videos, well, the calls on YouTube, but the video's not there because it's a radio show. But it was, I think the guy's name was Andrew Sachs. So he was a character in Fawlty Towers. I can't remember which one, but he was this is in 2008, so this is what, 14 years ago now. They were doing a documentary on. No, they were reviewing a program called The Bill Made Me Famous. You remember that cop show, The Bill?
The Bill, yeah.
And then like some actors went in there and then they ended up doing other things and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they were Andrew Sachs had been on The Bill before he'd done Fawlty Towers. So he was one of the people that they were trying to figure out whether it had been. So anyway, they tried to phone him. And it goes to his answer machine. And then they phone him again, and then it got bad because I think Russell Brand might have had relations with his granddaughter and that, and then they like brought that up, and Jonathan Ross outs him, and then they make a song, and it just gets. They phone him like 6 times, and every time it's worse and worse and worse, right? So he's coming back to his answering machine like, "You have 6 missed calls," and then it's like Russell Brand and all that. So anyway, the BBC seen that, and we're like, "Yeah, we can't have that on our radio. You've got to go." But yeah, to get back to my point, we kind of segued off there again. But Russell Brand was talking about it was to do with like farming and that. Like there's a farming crisis in India or something like that where apparently Bill Gates is meant to have had some kind of investment in a company, and he's actually took a lot of the patents that the farmers were going to use in India and used them for his own company, so now he holds the contract and stuff like that. Not sure if that's how it's officially went down, but from what I've read about it, that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
And he's bought a lot of the farmland in America as well. I think it's about 75%. And you think of America, it's huge.
Yeah, it's massive.
Amount of massive land rather.
Yeah.
So it does feel like he knows what he's doing, like in the sense of, for himself, obviously, in the sense of like he knows what's going to be important. So let's buy most of that up so that I'm the main provider of food, crops, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, because Bill Gates, like he tells a lot of people that he gives a lot of money away to charity, and I guess he probably does, but we don't know what the numbers are.
No.
I mean, I think £1 million a year is a lot of money to charity to anyone.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, who fucking knows how much
money
money
he's spent obviously away. A lot of investments, and he runs a whole foundations around vaccinations. We have to be careful when we talk about this because the whole
but listen,
YouTube police might still be on the go.
I'll tell you one thing about billionaires though, and I'm a massive fan of Musk.
Yeah,
I have been. I've never ever. I've always said I've always been a fan of him, but the thing is that these billionaires are not cut and dry. Like they're not what they proclaim to be all the time. Like they're always, these guys are smart as fuck. Like they're gonna do what's best for them and always. And if they have to hurt someone or to do that, then they're gonna do it. They got that money and they got that power through being different than we are.
Yeah.
Because their brains work differently.
Yeah, and you can see that in conversations as well, right? Like, I think he was mentioning Musk when you watch him on Joe Rogan and that, there's some
There are 5 conversations ahead. It's like, they see everything.
And he was talking about like how he thought he was insane growing up because he could never relate to anyone because he was like reading books at like age 7 and like thinking of all these ideas and that, and everyone else is just being a normal kid, and even the adults couldn't like kind of get their head around it. So I suppose there's like because they're that out there and that leads to like their kind of innovation in what they do, that a lot of normal people kind of don't trust, because humans don't like difference, right? Or they don't like things they don't understand.
Yeah.
Even as simple as if you get a knock at the door at 10 o'clock at night and you're not expecting one, you panic, right? You're like, who the fuck's calling at this time? You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
and it's the same as bullying though.
Yeah.
Like, like kids will bully, like when I was at school because I was different, right? So people don't like different.
No, definitely.
They don't like that. And that's why. I think that's why Musk and all that would have went through that. But I don't know. I think Musk's in it for the good, though. I think there's going to be changes that the world needs to happen, and I don't think people want that. But if
that's what we hate. We hate change, don't we?
But if you want to innovate, and if you want to get to a better But if you want the world to be better, you want the planet to be in a better state, I think, you're going to have to listen to him at some point. I mean, I know a lot of it is going to Mars and stuff like that, but I'm pretty sure he's got other plans. Because he's not just going to ship people to Mars and then leave Earth to...
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying like Musk's in charge of the planet or anything like that, but I would rather him in charge of the planet than the fucking goons that are now.
No, I suppose.
Do you know what I mean? Like all these world leaders and all these fucking idiots that, that obviously don't give a fuck about anyone else.
That they can't be in charge of the planet because they've got their own vested interests. It's like, well, look at the fucking guns they're doing today. They've got their own bloody vested interests. You know what I mean?
Do you know, like, you get these like important people, like, ex-presidents and massive actors and, people like Tom Cruise and stuff. I know he's involved in a cult or something. I don't know.
Oh, he's in Scientology and stuff.
Yeah, something like that. Do you know what? I did a little bit of reading on that last night. I didn't quite understand it. I don't know if you understand it.
It's out there. I know the reason I came to read up about it was, I don't know if you've ever seen this episode of South Park, right? But Tom Cruise is in it, and it's because he's in Scientology, and then there was massive rumors about him potentially being gay or whatever, right? They have an episode about him where he's stuck in a closet and he refuses to come out, hence the joke being at the time of the rumor and stuff like that. But it was to do with Scientology as well. I think R. Kelly ends up in that closet as well, ironically. But like the guy that played Chef in South Park is a Scientologist.
Right.
So South Park will make fun of anything. Anything goes on that show, right? But the guy it was Isaac Hayes, the soul singer guy, and then he left the show because he was like, you don't understand Scientology. But like the South Park guys, the guys that create it were like, well, we make fun of everything, we make fun of our own kind of beliefs and stuff like that as well. But he left, but it's like, I think it's Louis Theroux did a documentary on it as well. I haven't actually watched it, but it's meant to be quite an interesting watch. But I think, forgive me if I'm getting this out of proportion or anything, I think like their kind of belief system is that the way that humanity started is we were kind of dumped into a volcano or something. And
yeah, like I read something about that, and then like they were dumped at like beside a volcano, and then gas would kill the people or something, and then their spirits would live on the planet, and the spirits are in us, or some shit,
something along.
And
those
there was
lines.
like I don't know if this is true, but is there a god called Dogma?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
Like that name, I don't know why, right? But see, when I read that word Dogma, I haven't got it out of my head since I read it. Like, I don't know what the fuck is that? Rings a bell. I may have heard it somewhere. I don't know. But listen, I can't remember the comedian's name. He was talking about it not long ago. And he was like, I don't understand why people that are into Scientology get the shit that they get. Like, because there's obviously other religions out there that people follow, right? Because it's like a religion.
The more kind of native religions
that have done bad things too, though, right, in the past, and people still accept them, right? I don't know how bad this Scientology stuff is. I don't know the ins and outs of it, so I don't understand fully, but all these other religions that we have in the world they're not
flawless,
innocent, either, right? Because we all know little bits of the Bible from school,
the Crusades and all that kind of stuff.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so you can't really. I mean, depending on how bad the Scientology stuff is, I don't know, but it's interesting. I would like to know more about it,
because I think it's that whole difference thing, right? I think it's because it's not something that was at the start. So bringing someone new in,
and people don't like that, right? So, like, because whether it doesn't matter what religion you follow, everybody has a belief system of some sort. I don't have a religion.
No, I can't say that.
I wasn't brought up that way either. I mean, you don't have to be brought up to have a religion, but I wasn't brought up that way, so I really don't have any idea.
And it's interesting, like, how more people are kind of edging that way, especially like, we can only speak from like our own environment, but like we were brought up in quite a Christian environment. Like when we went to school, you were kind of mandated to sing hymns and stuff like that, and you would have to do like nativity play. You know what I mean? Like that's all to do with religion, isn't it? Like
Just gonna take some pills.
Yeah, no worries. They're legal. They're medication, but yeah, like when we were meant to be talking about ghosts, but I feel like we've just went into the chat about the future.
But listen, we could do an actual episode on this future shit, because I'd love to do that.
I suppose we're kind of talking about that just now. Like, I guess the ghost one will just have to be pushed back again, but we will get to that. But
no, but there's far more in depth you could talk about it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
we should just dedicate one episode to time machines.
Yeah, and then but like, even when I was talking about the AI stuff earlier, like, we are going to be living alongside like androids that look exactly like me and you in terms of the appearance of like the skin and the facial features and that.
Ex machina.
Yeah, like, because they're getting. I remember sharing a video from this morning, like a few years ago, where they had like a makeshift AI on, and it was learning to have a conversation with like Philip Schofield and that. And obviously, you could tell it was a robot at the time, but like, it was a hell of a lot better than what you would see back in the day. Do you know what I mean? That's only
close to Ex Machina,
yeah,
as I've ever seen.
But it's just going to continue to get better. It's going to be like that game. You ever play that game, Detroit Become Human?
No, but I've heard of it.
It's one of those like quick time event games where you're more like almost like playing a movie through a video game, and like you kind of partake in it by like having these quick time moments things. But anyway, the story's basically about humans and androids living against each other, and the humans kind of treating androids as like second rate citizens, and the androids kind of rebel and stuff like that because they've gained like emotion in that and rights and whatnot.
Yeah.
And that feels like a situation that could happen.
No, it's not it could happen. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a matter of if. So there's a Netflix series, I can't remember the name of it, but it's got to do with AI, and it's got to do with, you know, obviously it's like Ex Machina, but it's a series. I think there's way more into it. And it's like, I just watched a little bit of a trailer, and I was like, holy fuck, like that is literally gonna happen. Like that's how it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could be like, well, obviously I'm not gonna be a fucking AI, am I? Because I'm broken. You could be one though, like walking in the street, you wouldn't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna be able to tell the difference.
Yeah, and that's
the scary thing.
That's crazy. I feel like there's a part of me that's like
Westworld,
intrigued to like have a conversation with a robot like that, but there's also a part of me that's absolutely petrified of having a conversation with a robot like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, I never believe that it's going to turn into like full on Terminator. Like the robots are just going to take humans out by nuclear weapons and that. Because one thing that technology definitely has over humanity is its efficiency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's always going to think of the most logical thing. Like, we think what they're going to do through our eyes, because that's what we would do. If we were felt threatened or felt like someone needed to go, we would just kill it, because that's what we've always done. Do you know what I mean? That's how we've been made up from the days of when we were like apes to what we are now. Whereas I think they would be more in the sense of, well, we need to phase these out gradually, because they do have access to some devastating kind of contraptions. So putting androids in amongst the human population to cut off kind of breeding connections, and then they would just die out that way. That's how I personally think it would go down. But
the way I think, you know, artificial intelligence is getting so fucking advanced now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people think it's just happening slowly.
Yeah. Oh no.
I think it's happening much quicker than they think. I mean, have you seen them robotic dogs?
Yeah.
They run and do
shit. Oh my
shit.
god! Have you seen the one where like
he does the assault course?
Yeah, and there's one where the guy's holding it back because it's trying to open a door, and then it lets it go, and it like opens the door. Like, it's crazy. And the funny thing about that is, I think Frankie Boyle said it at the time of that when they were playing it on a show. It was like, I think that robot's already learned the concept of vengeance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's programmed.
Yeah.
Right? But it's not long before AI that's doing that. And eventually, you know, it will be looking like that to start with. Mm-hmm. And then you'll get eventually it will get into like looking like me and you. But artificial intelligence is crazy though. Like I think it's got the capabilities of like actually innovating, like much faster than we do. So like it could work out how to build a city in probably a week.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like it could work out how to do that, and then you could get artificially intelligent machines that would build these buildings and perfectly fast or efficiently.
No cutting corners.
No fucking around. You don't have to pay people
Yeah.
to, like, do you know what I mean? Like, and like that's why artificial intelligence is actually replacing people already work. Like there's not going to be receptionists.
Like, even if you think like stuff like retail, you get self-service checkouts. I mean, those things are just going to keep coming. And they're going to
jobs
get better.
are gone.
Yeah.
And I think eventually artificial intelligence will take over that much that the government will have to pay people a wage
to do nothing.
So there will be no rich and there will be no poor.
It will be an equal society in that sense.
And then you have no poverty and you have no problems.
Expanding of wealth, yeah.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, AI is basically going to be an evolution of us, right? Because like we evolved from apes, like we have similarities.
Well, did we though?
Well,
that's always a big question.
Yeah, evolution's a
is evolution what you fucking think it is? Because I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't really think it is, to be honest.
What do you think is or do you have any kind of inkling of what you think it might be instead?
Well, I have an idea, but I'm not saying this is what I believe.
No, okay.
But I am very skeptical of what they tell you at school.
Yeah, well,
I don't think it's what they teach you. I don't think is
the whole truth.
Is cut and dry. It's not exactly what.
There is an element of cutting stuff out at school, isn't there? And there's an element of conditioning as well.
Did they teach you about money at school?
No.
Why do you think that is?
No, that's true.
That's on purpose.
I've heard that a few times.
Yeah, they didn't teach you about money because they don't want you to be smarter with your money.
They don't want you to be independent with your money.
No, they don't want you to get
rich. They always
rich.
tell you, like, this is how you get a job, which we control the finances of that and how much you're going to get paid in that. No, that is true.
There's no way of saying if you do this, and they don't teach you about assets. They don't teach you about things like that. Do you know what I mean? Like, in order to be smarter with your money, in order to make more and to have your own business, and they don't teach you that. If you want to learn business, you got to go to college or university and do business that way, right? But they don't teach you about. They should be teaching kids about money at school from day one, because money is one thing that makes the world go around, and everybody needs it. So, like, if I could pick to be rich or poor, I would pick to be rich every time. Because what if there's an operation that that my mom can't get to save her life in the UK? She can't get it.
Yeah,
she has to go to Mexico or she has to go to America, and it costs money. How am I paying for that? Do you know what I mean? Like, how is she paying for that? I would rather be rich so I could save for life rather than fucking be sitting here twiddling my thumbs having no money, right? So, like, I'd rather be rich every time, wouldn't you?
Yeah, no, definitely. I don't think it's the main be all and end all of being happy, but at the same time,
like no way, no.
The benefits of, like, if like there was, I don't want to say a rainy day, but like the situation that you proposed, like if there was a family member or even yourself that you know what I mean, like it's better to have that war chest for that kind of situation.
Exactly. Money is. I'd rather have it than not have it. You need to eat. You need to have a roof over your head. You need to, if you want the finer things in life.
Yeah. Or even just the essential things in life these days,
Exactly. But, like, I would like a nice car. I'd like nice clothes. I'd like a nice watch. You know what I mean? Like, we're only here for so long. Enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Things cost money. Simple. Like, that's it. Like, I'd rather have money than not have money. So that's the way I look at things.
People, every person, the majority of people on this planet would probably agree with you and say the exact same thing. I mean, there will be some people that make a statement and be like, I'd rather be, you know what I mean? Like,
but like, I don't want the money to be like, oh, look at me, I'm rich. I want the money so I'm secure.
Yeah. So you don't have to worry about things to do with money, But
there's always going to be worries in life, whether you are fucking, because if you've got, like, let's say you got 100, like that people that won the lottery the other day, 184 million, right? When you've got that amount of money, it becomes problems. You have to take care of that money. You have to know who to trust around you.
Even the two people that won it, right? You feel like that could definitely affect them.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, we've talked about the whole kind of power dynamic and money as well before, haven't we? So
that's the thing. Like, you've got to look after your money. You've got to look after you and the circle around you and everything. I mean, having that amount of money is a big responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, you're secure, you're safe, you're sort of. But again, it doesn't make you happy though. I know that's a fact. Doesn't make you happy. I know I think some of the, poorest, well, not poorest guys, but some of the, the most billionaires in the country, in the world, sorry, are the most miserable people. So I hear.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy, like, because you always look at people with more money and be like, oh, think of the greed of, having these offshore accounts and that to hide money and stuff. But I suppose that's like the power dynamic of that as well. And you talk about security, they're probably thinking there, well, because I even find myself doing this, even if I've got a comfortable amount of money, I don't want to spend something. I'm like,
you want to look at it.
Yeah, well, not just that, but just like, what if I need that for something else? But
yeah,
even if that does come, I'd probably think, but wait,
no, but like seeing that in your bank, and then you go, I've got that if I need it.
Yeah, there's like a comfort to that. Yeah,
and I was the same, and I saved up that money for the gaming PC. But I was like, it was sitting there for ages, and I was like, I kind of want this PC. I've been wanting to play DCS for a long time. Fuck this. I could be dead tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? And then what use is it?
Yeah,
can't take it with you. So I'm 28 and I'm talking like that.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? Like, so I just thought, fuck it. But it is nice to have it when you need it, because you never know when you're gonna need it.
It's like we've talked before about, like, if you won the lottery and stuff like that, how you'd have to expect yourself to change in a certain way, in that, or how to handle that change if it is even possible to handle, right? Like, you see, like, the most common ones that I see is like young people that are in sport that get like big all of a sudden, and then the next thing they've got Nike endorsements and whiskey companies and all that, and it just sends them tunnel, as it would do 99.9% of the world, right? If we were to inherit that amount of money tomorrow, like, you just get told, oh yeah, you've got $200 million, and by the way, you've got a business that will make you that every single year from now on. Do you know what I mean? Like, it would just be, I think people like to say I would be the same person, or I would do all these things for charity, but you never know. Do you know what I mean? Until you're actually in that situation.
Yeah, that's what I said before. Like, you really don't know yourself as well as you think you do.
Because I'd like to think that I wouldn't go over the top of it, but who knows, right? Like,
do you ever get to a point where you say something to someone and then you go to yourself, fuck, I shouldn't have said that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, there you go. When you've got that money, you don't know what the fuck you're capable of. Your brain's got two sides, like many different sides to you. Do you know what I mean?
I used to be like that a lot with like babysitting and that. Like, if my mom was going out or something, and I would be like, oh yeah, it's okay, I'll look after it. You know what I mean? And then I was like, someone would ask who had plans later, and I was like, oh damn, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, exactly. That's it.
Yeah,
your brain goes on autopilot and you start saying things.
It's almost like two sides to your brain in a way, right? Like, there's the side that's like, there is that devil angel on each shoulder type thing. It's not just a cartoon thing. It is quite a.
That's true. It is true. Like, it's true. I mean, I see it all the time in myself, like all the time, and I kind of think to myself, why the fuck did I say that?
Yeah.
I shouldn't have said that. No, but like, if you say something horrible to someone, like you're maybe having a shit day, and
and you just kind of like heat of the moment type thing.
Fuck, I shouldn't have said that. Do you know what I mean? But that's life, innit?
Yeah, and I suppose it's like, I used to be quite bad for like not letting things go. You know what I mean? Not in the sense of grudges and that, but like, I could never forgive myself for something, and it'd be over really small things, like you said, maybe saying to someone in the heat of the moment and that, and I just feel really shit about it. But at the end of the day, you've kind of got to look at things once they're resolved and that, like an apology or whatever, and you forget about it, and that's something that I've had to try and learn and master, rather than just constantly torture myself about, this happened 3 days ago, that was shit of you to do that. You know what I mean? But
I'm a kind of guy though, it's like, I can be quite, what would the word be? An arsehole? I could be an arsehole a lot of the time. And if someone wrongs me at any point, I'll say something to them, or I'll just think, you know what, fuck them. I'm not going to bother with them then.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you fuck me over once, that's it. That's once too many, right? So like, and then like, I kind of think to myself, should I say something to them? And I think, you know what? Nah, fuck them. They fucked me over. So fuck them. Do you know what I mean? So like, I kind of get to that point and I'm just like,
There is a point.
I like that side of it though, because then nobody can do anything.
We should do an episode in the future of how do you move on from poisonous people? Well, maybe not poisonous people, but like how do you like let that kind of stuff go? Because like I get that kind of sense of feeling as well, where especially one situation in my life where I just needed to cut ties with this person because it was just wouldn't do me any good. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, here I can. That's a great idea.
Yeah, that would be.
I got. I was going to say I got a story, but I can't name names. So
no, but we can keep it on a need to know basis, and then the name part anyway. But also we've got in the next couple of weeks we've got the 1 year anniversary of the podcast coming up. We're hopefully going to get together for a bit of a chill cast with no kind of any general topic in mind, but I'm looking forward to that just because. Basically, we were meant to have like a little chill sesh cast at Christmas, and then that just got totally blown out the water from things that happened around it. But I'm hoping Paul was back on the podcast last week. He came in and like spontaneously and was like, I'm off this week. And he's like, I'm off every Tuesday now. So we're going to try and get something sorted either next Tuesday or the Tuesday after, because the year anniversary of this is June 9th, I think, if I'm right in saying. So I'm going to sort someone out for then. But we've been going for an hour 15 minutes. How mental is that?
Doesn't feel like it, does it?
It literally feels like, even Paul was saying the other day, like we went for like an hour 5, and he was like, that did not feel like an hour, and I was like, I know. You know what I mean?
It's like, magic when you just start speaking shit.
Yeah,
just kind of,
because like I've noticed that even when we kind of go in with that topic, like we were meant to talk about ghosts today, and I think we managed to successfully do that for about 5 minutes, and then the rest of it's been about future and moral compasses and whatnot.
Yeah, because you know what I mean. Like we're interested in the same shit, so it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like a chore.
Yeah,
it's just free. It's just chill. Do you know what I mean?
We will get down to the ghost stuff at some point. We will find a good.
I think a good thing about a podcast though is that you can literally just come on with no topic.
Yeah, and just spread away. Yeah,
because I think quite people would like that. You know, like just what are they talking about?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Just kind of like being a wee bit nosy and like what the fuck are they on?
Because like I suppose when I started this, I think it's just from you get better at doing it with no kind of plan in your head, just from doing it, like learning on the job, so to speak.
Yeah.
But like when we first started out, like me and Hasty and that, we would just have like not mountains upon mountains of notes, but we had to have like notes just to keep us right. Not that we would look at them every bit. It was like a comfort thing rather than actually looking at them as such. But then I noticed with like the Iraq War one that we did back in January, I noticed when I was like editing it in the software and that I was like having to look over there, and I was like, it's like that. It doesn't take away from it as such, but it was just something that annoyed me, and I was like, I probably didn't even really need them. And then the only thing that I do now is when we have a guest on, like I do like some research, and then
that's acceptable.
I have like little notes, but I put them away for when they're actually here, just something to like read beforehand.
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
fresh exactly. And whatnot.
You got to know something about them, though. Do you know what I mean? Because it's about them too. So
whereas with us, it's just this is like conversations we'd be having anyway, regardless of we all
whether
the cameras are and whatnot. Yeah, but it's cool though. It's cool that it's got to this point of where it's literally just kind of speaking. Taking point on speaking, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, just kind of going with it, you know? Like I feel like even if we do segue, that it comes into like something even more interesting than the previous thing was going to be and whatnot, so it's cool. And it's crazy, a year has flown by so fast. I actually can't believe it's been a year since we started this, like, but
I think I've not been here for that long, but I've been here for, I don't know, I don't know when the first podcast I was on. Would have been the music one, but I can't remember what.
July, because it was July, a few days before my birthday, and then I had to isolate because the day that I got a second vaccination, a person that I met up with after I had COVID was like July, and then September, and then I would say that you've been on a good 60% though, like in terms of like topics and stuff like that. We've done like me, you, and Hasty and whatnot. But
I'd imagine, you know, that Iraq one.
Yeah,
I would say that was the one that I was kind of like. Didn't know what the fuck do. Like I did like a little bit of research, but you boys obviously knew much more than I did. You know, I think having family in the RAF and stuff like that. Like, I didn't want to go and try and talk too much about it.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what I was talking about.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? When there's people that were there, you know what I mean? So, but yeah, no, but you covered a lot on that. That was a good episode.
Yeah, I think even the UFO one's one of my favorite ones, just because like it was a good balance of both. Like we had stuff of like what I'd watched and like the documentaries you'd recommended for that one and that were on Prime, and then there was some good kind of like conversation in between that. That was like 2 hours 15, and a lot of the time that
didn't feel like that either.
Yeah, I know exactly, and even though that was like a longer episode, it was still engaging for the entirety of it. You know,
there was no like awkward silences.
No.
Shit.
And we all like we weren't like going round in circles or anything like that. We always kind of progressed it as well. I know like I'm making it sound like some kind of fucking movie production, but it's like although like obviously Rogan's like the biggest podcaster in the world, but I suppose like the thing that's kind of that like impresses me the most about him is the fact that he can do this for 3.5 hours, 3-4 times a week. Do you know what I mean? Like to concentrate that hard to get even just talk.
I think it's more, like I said before, you know, it's more of a chill.
Yeah.
For Joe, I think it's more of a just said fucking speak to my mates. Like that's it.
That's how he started, right? Because like I look back at like a lot of the original episodes, and it's him, Brian Redband, Joey Diaz, and then he kind of added Shafir in there, and Hinchcliffe and all those guys as well. And then obviously as it grew, it became more like getting...
I fucking love Joey Diaz so much.
One of the funniest people on earth. And like...
Fucking tremendous.
Yeah, like Joe says, like he's not really a joke teller. It's just that his stories are just so unreal that like they're...
His stories are fucking gold though. It's like... You sit and you listen to me, no way you did that.
Yeah.
No way you did that. But then you look up and you go, yeah, you fucking did do that.
Yeah.
He absolutely did that. He absolutely did that. That's just him.
It was funny like learning like he's in Spider-Man 2 and stuff like that on the train. And you know what I mean?
The crazy thing is, like, I remember when the first time I saw him, right? And I was like, I've seen him before. Where the fuck's he from? My Name is Earl. He was in the jail. He was in the jail.
He was in Longest Yard as well, I think, as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I love Joey Diaz.
Do you ever hear about the tapes?
No.
Issue of the tapes. He was talking about, because he likes a comedian, and like a lot of American comedians get film gigs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the kind of big difference between like American comedy and UK comedy. Like, you know, see like most British comedians getting into like big blockbuster films. Although apparently Hugh Dennis, that was
mind you, what's his name? Billy Connolly. Sorry, I interrupt you.
Yeah,
he's been in movies.
Yeah, but that was the American side. Like I'm talking like there's.
I
suppose in general there's not really a British film industry. I mean there is, but it's not as like obviously as big as like going to America. But so anyway, he was talking about there's a guy that would come at the comedy club. And he was like this owner of an agency or something along the lines of that. And he was like, I think Joey Diaz was like looking for gigs or something. I think it was he was potentially going to get a role on How I Met Your Mother.
Oh yeah, I've not seen that in ages.
I know. And the guy was like, if you send me an audition tape, and he was like, I'm not sending you no fucking tape. He was like, I'll do an audition for them, sure, but I ain't sending you a fucking tape to see if I get an audition with the people that I'm going for, right? So. He was like, let me try something here. So he sent him a blank tape, nothing on it. The guy phoned him back 5 days later. Was like, I loved your audition tape. We'll get you into an audition. He was like, it's all a fucking power play, because he sent him a tape with nothing on it. So he clearly hadn't watched it. He just wanted him to send him a tape to make him feel like it was a big shot. And he's like, there's like fucking 100 tapes on that guy's desk. They're unreal. But
I think you know, is there a difference between a comic and a comedian?
I think so. I think
because a comic is what I would call an American comedian.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And a comedian
is like what
is a comedian.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you've got British humor up against American humor, we slap them all over the fucking park. I think the best comedian of all time is Billy Connolly.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion. I've never had anybody that made me laugh so much.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I ever actually watched one of his gigs. It was on my Fire Stick somewhere. I was watching it. Fucking hell, I was crying, man. It was funny as fuck. He's on about riding this overweight person.
Yeah.
Burned his arse in the light bulb. And oh my god, it's so funny.
And he's like, Billy Connolly is like if you see him, you just think Scotland. Do you know what I mean? Like even like you can tell who, like you mentioned, he was in some of those American films, like the cartoon one, open
Garfield.
season,
He
and
was in
Garfield and
Garfield,
stuff.
yeah.
And as soon as you hear him,
Oh,
like
Last Samurai.
yeah, is he in the Last Samurai?
He's in the Last Samurai.
Wow, I never knew that.
He's that fucking I can't remember his name. He's always on a fucking horse.
This is just so that we're on the same. This is the film with Tom Cruise in it. And
Yeah.
yeah. I never knew that. Wow.
Yeah, he was on Last Samurai. Him and Tom Cruise are really good mates.
Oh, are they? Oh.
They were really good mates on the set of that, and I think they obviously keep in touch. But, yeah, they're good mates. There's a funny interview on Parkinson with them too.
Yeah,
funny as fuck.
Oh no, I have seen that because like
he's in a red fucking velour suit.
Yeah, he's in like absolute stitches in that. You know, I have seen that. Yeah.
The thing I love about Billy Connolly is it's so effortless and he just takes over.
Yeah, like there's no kind of like trying behind that. It's just who he is.
No, it's just him. Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, he used to work in the shipyards, and I guarantee that all that boys would have.
And I suppose that's the kind of difference, like we just said, with like American comics. Like you hear a lot, like especially like on because like the American comedian scene has like a massive like podcast scene, basically. Like you think obviously Rogan's kind of started a lot of these guys up because it's people he hangs about in similar circles with. But you hear like you see Two Bears One Cave with Segura, and I mean Segura's I don't know if you've seen any of his tweets about the Will Smith thing after it went down. He's an absolute savage. But
Segura, what's his first name?
Tom Segura.
Has he got a wife?
Yeah, they've got a podcast as well.
Fucking amazing podcast.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it's called. Something House.
Oh, it's so funny.
Yeah,
they don't give a fuck.
No, they really don't.
They talk about everything.
Oh my god,
like their sex life, everything.
Yeah,
like he was on about fucking. I'm not actually. No, I'm not gonna get into that because it's fucking absolutely savage. Yeah, it's like I was sitting watching the videos for like 2 hours, just like this is gold. This is absolutely.
Well,
gold.
I seen his tweets after the Will Smith thing happened. I was like, "Fuck!" If Chris Rock got slapped for what he said, Will Smith's coming after that dude with a machete. Do you know what I mean? Like, but, there's him. There's Tim Dillon's obviously got really big recently in the last year. Joey Diaz is the Church of What's Happening Now. I think that's what it was. At least it was. It was called. I think it still is that, but. He's moved back to New Jersey now, isn't he? He's not. They've all left LA.
Yeah, they all left LA, and Joe went to Texas, didn't he? Is he still there?
Yes.
Because he's got. I like his new studio actually.
Yeah, because he had like.
He had this one that looked like the inside of.
Like was like an inside of like a kind of tube, really, wasn't it? Like yeah.
I'll put it lightly. I was gonna say something else, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah. But
I'll get this. I'm gonna get this podcast cancelled. You know.
Yeah. But. Because I remember they had the End of the World podcast in there. Did you see that when the American election was going on?
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy times, man.
You know, like, I was just going to say, like, that's another good thing about Rogan is that I've been watching him for years, but then I've became fans of loads of other people.
Yeah,
because of Rogan. So, like I'd never heard of fucking Rob Zombie before. Mm-hmm. He was on there. Fucking loved that podcast. That was a brilliant. I like that. And then obviously Joey Diaz, big fan of Joey Diaz now. Whitney Cummings thinks he's brilliant. Nikki Glaser thinks he's brilliant.
They were on like a lot of the. Do you remember like the roasts that used to happen on Comedy Central, like Donald Trump and like Charlie Sheen? I think was one as well.
Yeah. And the thing I like about Rogan, there's such a variety of different people.
Yeah.
From all different walks of life. Like I was watching one, there was like a guy. He went in to like talk. What did he do? He went in and he was like to the jungle and he lived with a fucking tribe.
Yeah,
I think that's another to you about we should do
because that is something I'm very interested in. The kind of the last isolated tribes around the world that are literally still living like
it's so fascinating.
How humans are meant to kind of live in a way.
See, when they say choppers and planes, what do they think that is?
Yeah, that must be like we were talking about the gods and that earlier. It must be something
because they're
similar
still
to that.
Completely,
and they absolutely butcher anyone that they come across. There was like that missionary that went to go try and turn them to Christianity, and they just filled them full of arrows. Yeah.
I'm sorry, but they're isolated for a reason. Don't fucking go anywhere near them.
Yeah.
Why are you trying to document them? Like, do you know that guy that was on the Rogan podcast? I was just on about. He risked his life to do that. Yeah, and they took him in, and they were really nice with him.
There's some videos on YouTube as well where like they meet some people that have like seen them, and they're really because like we were talking about, humans are cautious with difference, right? So that's their equivalent of It would be like finding someone you've never seen in your life in your house, basically.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's like to them. And they've got like their whole family, like, you know, there's their kids and there's the women in the back and the guys are through with spears. They've still got like, they look like
hooks through their nose.
Yeah, like the kind of Mayan kind of look, you know, from
it's like the dudes on Crocodile Dundee.
Yeah, isn't
it? Mm-hmm. Like kind of like
you see it like in you know that film Apocalyptico. Have you ever seen that, the Mel Gibson film?
Yeah, I've seen a bit of it,
and there's like that bit at the end with it's the Spanish, I think it is. The Europeans come because they've found the Mayans, and it's like the end of the Mayan era. It's like that though, right? Like you said though, they're isolated for like they don't want outsiders, you know.
I mean, they're living how we used to live.
Yeah,
like they just haven't changed.
No,
like, and the thing that makes me sad is that the fact that there isn't gonna be any of these people left.
Yeah, because they're like
our society don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
they'll just kill them if they have to.
Yeah,
to get the land. And that's
and not just that,
thing.
but like because they've been isolated in that, they're like really susceptible to like illnesses that like a lot of the other population in the world aren't, because of stuff like vaccination and medication and stuff like that. So like flu or like a cold even is like a really kind of deadly thing in those kind of circles, just because of the, you know,
because they're isolated. I mean, you could go there and you could kill them with one. Whatever.
Yeah.
But wouldn't their immune systems be stronger?
It depends, because like I think immune systems are built through also actually being exposed to stuff and getting ill to then it's like kind of recognizing
but surely,
that's what antibodies are, isn't it? Like,
but surely they must get ill though, right?
Yeah, but it would be stuff that's like native to that land though, wouldn't it? Like for example, if they're like, you know how there's this whole thing with monkeypox at the moment, like that's when people kind of, when stuff travels, that's when people get worried, right? Because the population has never been exposed to stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hence why they were all kind of up in arms when the coronavirus started, because it was a brand new thing that no one had ever been exposed to.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting though.
Yeah.
Like that's, you kind of wonder how they would react to, you know, just a little cold or something. Could kill them.
Yeah.
I would warn. Obviously, it's too risky.
Because obviously, like the cold used to be way more lethal in our populations than what it is now. Yeah. But it's just over time that it's got.
Do you remember a disease called the Black Death?
Yeah, is that the bubonic plague and stuff like that? Is it?
I can't remember. Like, what actually was it? Was it like Corona sort of idea?
It must have been. It must have been like a respiratory. Those have always been the most lethal ones, apart from smallpox.
Yeah,
smallpox. Like if smallpox ever makes a return, I'm running to the vaccination center to get that first thing, because there's no way that I'm getting that. Thank God it got eradicated in 1972.
Yeah.
But in terms of, I think it was something ridiculous, like the bubonic plague took out like 75% of Europe or something like that.
Jeez.
And but obviously, like the population wasn't as much as it is now.
Yeah, of course.
Like, because even when the Spanish flu pandemic happened, the world's population was 1.8 billion. So that's only 1918. What we're now 2022. It was like, well, 1.8 billion. There's near enough that in China alone today. Yeah, alone the globe.
Yeah.
So I think it's like they've got 1.3 billion. India's got 1.1 billion. They're right next to each other. And then it's crazy, man.
This fucking population thing's been brutal. I mean, I think, you know, all these horrible diseases like cancer and, you know,
still not stopped it either.
No, I mean,
and we haven't even cured those diseases yet. Like if we ever manage to do that, it's just going to send the population stuff through the roof.
I mean, we think we haven't cured it. Who knows if that's true?
Yeah. Are you kind of like of the belief system, like in our kind of medical, our medicine business setup would like hide that, and not hide it, but like wouldn't release it unless it was worth their kind of business model or whatever?
I don't know if I believe it, but I kind of have I'm very skeptical to it. Like, I kind of, you don't know who to trust, and you don't really know. Like, are they keeping it? Are they keeping it so the population doesn't go through the roof? Because obviously the population is not at bay. They've not got it at bay yet. It's not like, it's still out of control, I think. And if they did have a cure for these diseases, it would just be completely, we'd be fucked.
Yeah.
Like, we'd be fucked. So,
because like even as it stands just now, when I was talking about, so what is the population at the moment? It's almost up to 8 billion. And what I said 100 years ago was 1.8. So that's nearly times by 6. No, 4. Because 2 billion to 8 billion now, which is, it's fucking mental because that's only 100 years.
That's not
that much time.
What's it going to be in the next 50?
Yeah, it's like what is 100 years, like 3-4 generations?
Because they were trying to say that by 2050, the population will be 9 billion people.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I think
that's probably like a conservative estimate as well.
It wouldn't fucking surprise me. Yeah, it wouldn't even surprise me if we get there before that. Because, you know, I like the way, like, it's not that I like it, but hasn't China got like this rule that you can only have
and that's like with
2 kids,
like
1
2
kid?
kids. I think they've maybe just expanded it to 3 now, but it's like restricted. Like you know,
that's a good fucking idea.
Yeah, well, especially with like because they've still got like over 1 billion people from having that for years upon years. I mean, think of what it would be if they hadn't had that in there. You know what I mean?
But look at the fucking size of China.
Yeah,
like it's huge. I would have. You know what? See if I had a time machine. I'd have loved to go back to China, back in the old days, with all these like fucking dudes that, you know, like live in the hills and all that. Like, it would be fucking so cool to see. There's still people that do that, I think, but
because like that, it was like, was it the Himalayas or something? Like, was meant to be the oldest guy that ever lived. He was like 144 or something like that. So there's got to be like some kind of. I suppose you're not as around with stuff like radiation and that as much, right? Because you think about it just in the Western world, for example, we're constantly surrounded by like telephone wires and aircraft and fuel and all that.
It's not good for us. Yeah, like it's not. I mean, the crazy thing is that, you know, if people, I've said it on this podcast before, if people had listened to Nikola Tesla, we wouldn't be in this fucking mess. And it's all about money, as we said before. It's all about oil and the money. And if they're, you know, the whole thing, well, electricity, we shouldn't be paying for that. But yeah, we are. We shouldn't be paying for the internet. But yeah, we are. Elon Musk is trying to give us internet for free.
Well, that was Jeremy,
I don't know how he's going to get.
Jeremy Corbyn had that as like one of his main table's okay. The table looked like it was going to tip, but it's all good. But I've tried to put a bunch of old mic stands there as like a counterweight to like.
So it would be a good idea, like throw that weighted bean bags.
Yeah, I'll have to get some of them
because you could.
But I've got these things where I'm going to drill holes in this table so that they can be like in the middle and they can spread out. But I'm just figuring out where they need to go so they don't get in the way of the cameras at the moment. But
what about like a spike, like a in the middle of the table, and they all spike like a spider arm. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, that's what I was going to have them in the middle. It's just trying to like keep them from blocking out any like. So if one's there, it doesn't take that person out of. It doesn't take out the car, you know. So it's just finding the right band. But I will get round to it. But making do with what we have just now. Just before we wrap this up, we mentioned pneumonia earlier, right? And
sorry, what did you say?
We mentioned pneumonia earlier.
Pneumonia, yeah.
One thing that sprung in my head earlier, I don't know. Do you know the actor Daniel Day-Lewis? Phenomenal actor, right? Rarely does movies. I think he's only been like in 6 since 1998 rather.
That's the guy that was in Billions, right?
Yes. And he was also in There Will Be Blood as the Oil Baron, if you've ever seen that film.
No, I've never seen that.
It's on Netflix. Well, we're Gangs of New York, perhaps, as Bill the Butcher. He played...
but... What, who, Daniel Day-Lewis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know who he is. Yeah, I was just thinking, because I'd seen that, I saw Billions, the series.
Yeah.
It was pretty good. But when he left, it...
Yeah, soured a bit.
Didn't like it.
He was in Lincoln as well. He's won 3 Oscars. One for My Two Left Feet. I'll get to what I was saying. I was watching a video on him the other day, right?
Yeah.
And he's a massive method actor. When he was filming Gangs of New York, right? So Gangs of New York is set on a time with a lot of gangs in New York in the 1800s. It's based around a book because Scorsese had read the book and was like, I need to do a film on this, right? And Daniel Day-Lewis was a character called Bill the Butcher in it. And during filming, he contracted pneumonia, which, like you said, is brutal, right? It's a brutal thing.
It's horrible.
Because he's such a method actor, for example, in a film that he won an Oscar for called My Two Left Feet, he had to be paralyzed from the neck down or something. So he spent 9 months in preparation for this, being like in a wheelchair and limping and all this kind of stuff to prepare for that, so that he knew, like he wasn't just putting it on.
Yeah.
So above the Call of Duty, if you would say, for most actors would go, but he contracted pneumonia during the filming of Gangs in New York. But because the time settings were like the 1800s, at that period of time, you wouldn't have treatment for pneumonia. Right. So he refused treatment for pneumonia because it didn't fit in with the time setting with the film he was creating. And I'm like, that is some utter dedication. That man is crazy.
That's balls, man.
Yeah.
That's balls. I mean, yeah, I mean, when you say like how good of an actor he is, you're fucking right.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Fantastic.
Because like when I started watching Billions from the first season, I think this may be the only thing I've seen him in, because I probably maybe have seen him in movies, I just didn't know he was at that point. But from the first series, I was like, it was him that I was hooked onto. I thought, fucking hell, this guy's cool as fuck. So obviously he's the main character, and he plays this billionaire, he's a stock fucking market and all this shit. And he's unbelievable. He's such a good actor, man. Yeah. Like, and I think he was married to her that played Polly Gray in Peaky Blinders, Ellen McCrory. I think they were married. I'm pretty sure.
I'll have to look up their Wikipedia page. I just know that he's an absolute savage with the method acting.
Give me 2 seconds.
We'll get this answer for you as the final statement of this episode that was meant to be about ghosts, and we've went everywhere and anywhere today.
Oh no, wrong guy.
Okay, never mind. False alarm.
I was completely thinking this was completely someone else. I know who you're on about now. That's not him.
Okay. Anyway, we'll wrap up there, because I believe I have shopping coming in 10 minutes, so that would be unfortunate if but pleasure as always speaking to you, dude. And I'll see you probably for the Chill Seshcast 1 year thing. That's probably going to be out before even this one is. So I'll see you before after.